Africans are probably deeply unserious for the kinds of problems we're experiencing. I am terrified about people coming to a comedian for answers. If we can all go protest together, we don't have jobs. This can be our job. We can show up. There's no payment, but it's group work. It's a vibe.
One of the coolest satire projects in the continent by far. You ever listen to an African president and go, that's our guy?
I have very little faith in African presidents. Most of them are not doing anything of importance.
As a member of the youth, I will be at the G20. Are there questions that you want me to ask on behalf of us?
My question.
Today we're joined by literally one of the funniest comedians in the continent, Justine Wanda. Welcome to Politically Aware. How's it going?
Thank you, KG. I'm not in a good place, but I'm trying.
Kenya is a piece of shit. I'm sorry, Kenyans. I know how you can get online. I apologize. I was just going with the thing and I said the wrong thing. Yes. I apologize. You guys don't play on the internet, do you?
No. I think we are our ancestors, and I think they're still fighting with us, so we just fight everyone. We haven't figured out the Pan-African spirit yet.
Dude, you're a comedian. You are an activist. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
It's comedy first always. Because you want the joke to land, even if you want people to be aware. If the joke is not good, then what is really the point of all this?
Tell us about the youth-led protest in Kenya. What happened? How did it come about? And how were you involved?
So last year, the finance bill wanted to increase the prices of bread, pads, tampons, diapers, and everyone was like, no, we're broke. We cannot afford any of this. What do you mean we can't have bread? So we were outside to get them to stop the increase of the taxes. They didn't listen. We were like, we'll join you in parliament to help you stop it. So I contributed by breaking down the bill to as many different people as possible, and also some people used my breakdown to translate it into other languages, which was really cool. Yeah.
Do you feel like leaders are listening to the youth? Do you feel like leaders are listening to us as the youth?
No, we're not being listened to. But also, I think older people just really struggle to hear. It's all this time, all the years have really taken and chipped away at their listening. So you kind of have to push a little harder. Yeah. The louder the megaphone, the better.
Do you hear that, old people? You're not listening. Yeah. Why do you think, as the youth, we are so mad? Who hurt us?
I think when you have an understanding of your mental health, it's very hard not to be angry. It is coming from somewhere, and sometimes it's not you. So you kind of have to be angry. You kind of have to be angry because the enemy is your parent, or even your country parent. Let's just state the person who's running the nation. That's usually the person who has failed you, and all these other little country parents. So you are angry because your parent is not listening to you, which is a very bad way to look at it, but it's the African way. Yeah. And I think I'm trying to be respectful. So the anger is coming from not being listened to. And as we've established, age is taking away the hearing. So we have to fight a little harder. Sometimes if you speak up, they'll not listen. But if they see you're angry and you can take something from them, maybe they'll give something back to you.
So how does the comedy spill into the activism?
I used to work a terrible job, and I used to use comedy as an escape for myself. But then I realized, why not just use it to go after my boss? It was actually, I didn't do that, but it was a perfect intersection to understand the problems that I was having and the larger context in which they existed. And I think that how comedy helps you strip all this difficult information into a condensed, edited, very engaging format as okay, maybe I could apply this to other contexts. So that's how I merged the two of them. Plus also years of copying Trevor and John Stewart and John Oliver kind of really helped to make it easier.
One of the coolest satire projects in the continent by far. By far. Comrades, check out Fake Work with Justine.
Thank you so much.
How do you get there, my guy?
You kind of have to hate your job enough for you to go into something that doesn't have any kind of structure and love the work that you're doing so much that it becomes who you are. There are people who've literally just renamed me Fake Work, like they don't even know my actual name, which I think is really cool. Is really cool. But also, I think for me to be able to create something like Fake Work, it had to be very personal. It had to be a journey of as much truth as it was about laughter. Like it couldn't be separated from my own life. For a little while there, I just didn't know what the news was and what I was. But nowadays I'm learning a little bit about the separation of the two, and also just contributing as much of the cracks in our national conversation, and like determining what's really important for everyday people. And that has to stem from like a very personal point. Like I can't do the show without understanding how I navigate the country, how I navigate the world, and how I navigate like the intricacies of every single moment that I live.
So for the people who do not know, tell us, what is Fake Work?
Fake Work with Justine is a satirical educational show. So sometimes I get too satirical and people start believing that I'm siding with the government. And sometimes I get too much of an activist where people feel like the comedy is disappearing. But the aim of the show is to make sure I bridge the gap between the problems we're experiencing as Kenyans, even in the African diaspora, because it's not usually just about the country, but also what matters to me, what matters to the rest of us, and also what really makes us laugh and what we can do about it. So it's all these little parts of what's important on our continent for ourselves, merged with laughter.
Do you think that satire is necessary in the continent, and do you think the continent fucks with satire? Are we a satiric continent?
Africans are probably deeply unserious for the kinds of problems we're experiencing. We kind of operate from a point of laughing so that we don't become crazy. It's literally like our baseline. But satire just kind of pushes the boundary of what we want to be able to see and what we are experiencing. It's almost, I feel like satire really is embedded in like how our continent operates, because sometimes you even read a headline and you're like, okay, am I the crazy one, or has the news surpassed my job? Like that's what usually I feel like. Sometimes even like when I'm writing bits, I'm like, I have to, how do I put in hyperbole? How do I add to the irony of this situation? Because sometimes like the reality is just too much of a mess. And even if I make something sound normal, like most people are more likely to not believe the normal stuff. So I'll give an example of what happened last week. Apparently there was a corruption conference, like an anti-corruption conference, where I think some Nigerian parliamentarians came to Kenya to learn how to stop corruption. And I was like, this is not, this is like two separate brothers just coming together to maximize their joint slay. Like it's not, like we're just trading notes on how to stop corruption from being small and just make it as large as possible. Like there's no way, especially like parliamentarians, like that's crazy. Like I would understand if like Namibia is teaching us how to be less.
Namibia? There are dudes in Namibia going, no way, not us. We seem to be doing better. They are doing us.
I have so much belief in other countries.
You have just said, Uguti, sometimes we seem to be not serious enough as Africans. And then you see the headlines that you were just talking about now. Your job is to make fun of that. Your job is to highlight all of that and make people laugh, kind of like, right? Do you think you're part of the problem? Do you think at some point you're part of the problem of why people are not angry now? Do you think satire sometimes is part of the problem?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I say yes because, like, we shouldn't be laughing this hard at, like, we shouldn't be mimifying our existence. Because it's kind of like, you know, like you're outside of the club and the DJ is like really, really playing a song that you love and you're hyping the DJ, but you're outside of the club. Like you're literally outside in the cold. It's embarrassing. You're not where the fun is at. So we are actually enjoying it. I'm saying yes because we're kind of enjoying something that's deeply terrible.
Yes.
On the flip side, a lot of people are not going to read reports. They're not going to read very complex information. We live in an age where attention spans are like at an all-time 0.2%. That's just a statistic I made up. Like, it's very low. I sometimes can't get through a full article without opening 4 other apps. And so I know deeply that there's so many other people struggling with this very thing.
Yeah.
And I can imagine this now for bigger stories and considering just how much is going on in our country and on our continent and in the world, it's like you're continuously being fed with like, the world is ending, this is happening. So you feel very exhausted and overwhelmed by the information that's coming at you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people kind of want to be able to understand what is happening without the burden of actually going through reports that were written by pre-chat GPT people. Like, those guys were reading, like, they were proper, they really understood, like, they were reading and they had all this knowledge. And like, to transfer that knowledge to newer people so that they would understand their problems, it's very hard to just do it traditional news tellers like, let's take this seriously. Most people are not going to watch that.
Do you feel the pressure of being trusted with the news more than the journalists?
Oh, that's absolutely a terror that I live in. There's points where again, just going back to the beginning, like, sometimes I struggle to figure out like where the comedian starts and where the truth about this starts also, because it's too much of my own personal experience. But then I also usually have to remove myself from the sense of like, I'm only experiencing the world through my lens. So I have to seek out the experts. I read a lot of the journalists, like the stuff I am resharing or reacting to is someone's life's work. Like, they actually take the time to do all this work. So when I'm bridging that gap, I am very respectful of the work that those people are doing. But then again, as you said, I am terrified about people coming to a comedian for answers. I'm like, I just want to make jokes. I want to greet people making jokes. Like, you people shouldn't, like, I understand why there's a connection and why you feel so deeply connected to my work and you think like, oh, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me, so I don't have to watch the news. But even when I meet people and they're like, I really love your work, some people think I'm a journalist. I'm like, no, please. You actually have to seek out more information than what I'm sharing, because there's actual experts in the field. And as I usually try and also reshare the expert's opinion.
Uganda has threatened you guys with war again. There's election drama in Tanzania.
Yes.
DRC and Rwanda seem to have cooled off, but we know it's not true. We know it's still popping. South Sudan seems to be more like the stable country in East Africa. What are you guys doing over there?
We're going through a lot right now, and we want to live in the Pan-African spirit where we can allow Museveni to have the Indian Ocean if he wants. He can live there. No one is telling him no. But at the same time, also there's just so many questions about what does sovereignty even mean? You know, like, does sovereignty mean having a country where you get to vote leaders who steal from you? Or like, does sovereignty mean having a functional space, but also with coordination with your neighbors? And does the coordination only start and end at abductions and disappearing people? It's a very difficult time to be in this region. I feel I think that really describes it for me. It's like, if you're a miner and you just keep digging, there's no treasure around you, but you just have to keep digging until you get the light at the end of the tunnel. So we're trying to figure that out. So hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel is the entire region trying to redefine ourselves outside of the tragedies of our past.
Yeah.
Like South Sudan being the most stable country right now is actually pretty impressive. And also they're kind of setting an example of what's possible after all the wars. Like, they're really, really trying to keep it at base level, because also their neighbors in Sudan are going through a genocide. Yeah. So it's a very difficult region to be in. I remember when we were protesting in 2024, one of our chief economists was like, you people should be very careful not to turn out as Sudan. And we thought that was a joke. Turns out that was a threat. They were actually threatening us, like they would stop at nothing to stop us from wanting actual democracy. So it's I think there's a lot of rediscovery and also solidarity, because we've seen with what's happened in Tanzania, their elections were so bad. Like, they didn't even get to have like a proper elections because people were rioting because they felt like the democratic process was being bungled. And instead of just like listening to the people were shot and disappeared. Some people don't know where their family members are. I can't even talk to some of my friends in Tanzania. Like, we can't have actual conversations because of how terrified they are of the surveillance and everything that's going on. Some Kenyans who actually live and work there have been threatened not to say anything. Some of them have been were held, I think, for days without any kind of communication. Their phones were taken away. It's I think it's a moment where there's a lot of solidarity happening with the dictators at the top and also the people who are being crushed at the bottom. But so many people kind of want the same things. It's just like we're asking for the same things, but the leadership is very disconnected from the people. So we're hoping to be more like South Sudan, where we're like, we kind of need to figure out everything without harming everyone.
I just want to say, we reached out to a couple of comics in Tanzania, and we're not gonna mention any names, but I'm kidding. And the word that came out from a couple of people was, "Hey man, we might get a treason charge. We don't wanna take chances." What do you make of that?
There's something going on in the world right now where people are kind of being trained to self-censor, to be afraid not just of their governments, but like the machine that runs it all. Like, we are all on our devices. We all love to use our social media platforms to be able to engage daily. And when that becomes a source of terror, you don't know how to exist even in community, because you don't know who's watching. I'll give an example of like what happened, I think, in Kenya in the 80s and 90s when we had our own dictatorship phase with Moi. Moi as the president used the state surveillance machine to make it so difficult for two people to even be in communication. Because if you're talking to someone, you don't know if they're going to snitch on you, they're going to like put your whole family in danger, make sure you're even exiled or disappeared for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing that's happening in Tanzania, where they're trying to make it so difficult for people to talk about their actual oppression so that the country can maintain an image. Because if you've met Tanzanians, they're very kind and they're very lovely.
They're sweet people.
They're such a vibe. But then the truth about their politics is like a lot of them feel very separated from it. It's like, we're calm people, we're kind people, but also if your lives don't match up to what it is that you're portraying on the outside, obviously there's going to be a revolt. Like, there's people who want to feel like they're connected to the economy, they can participate in their country, they can talk freely, they don't have to get celebrities telling them what to do. and like the president only deciding like this is who we are. You have to be able to define that for yourselves. So what's happening in Tanzania, they're like hyper surveillance that's happening in the country. Even yesterday, I think we met some experts who work in the human rights space, people who are in communication with the journalists on the ground, and most of them are saying actual journalists cannot publish anything that has not been approved by the president.
No.
It's like this has to come from the top for you to be able to say it. And there are also so many other Tanzanians who do not want their lives disturbed. They want to continue with the vibe, even with the situation on the ground. And then there's so many other people who are like, we need to change our actual situation. We need constitutional reform. We need to be able to say something, to speak up, and we're not targeted for it.
We saw youth in Malawi jump the border into Tanzania. We saw Kenyans jump the border into Tanzania to help with the protest. Do you think this is a new culture of protest? As in, when the protest in Kenya come back around, because they will. Mm-hmm. Are we expecting the youth from other countries to jump into Kenya? Is this a new direction that we're going? And what do you think brings that about?
First of all, I want to say I really like the whole, I don't care where you come from, but you must be free. I really like that background to it. The reality, I think, is kind of scary for the people in charge, because most people are realizing that the movements are surpassing boundaries. Because like the thing that the internet has been able to do is to bridge the gap of like how people thought other people in other countries were living. Yeah. You can just see how so much of the youth are in despair. They don't feel like there's any kind of upward mobility. So it's like, if we can all go protest together, we don't have jobs. Like this can be our job, we can show up. There's no payment, but it's group work, it's a vibe. But at the same time, the truth is like, it's just, I think at its very core, it's mostly support. Yeah. And also, some of it is just like what is happening over there. Like some of our borders are not, I'll not say they're porous, but they're very welcoming. Yeah. Because that's like the African spirit. Like you can cross and work here, someone else can cross and work there. So most people are aware of
Some of them are not borders even. Some of them you can just walk across.
Yes.
Some people drink on the other side and go home. Like there's no...
Exactly. And I think the beauty about this is because I come from a border community, like a border community between Kenya and Uganda. And my mom's side of the family has like a lot of Ugandan heritage. Yes. And like there are people in my village who do not... They do not, like, they speak like 5 languages.
They don't think of it as going to Uganda. They're just going to someone's house. Yes.
Exactly. So why would you tell them, like, you cannot participate in the well-being of literally your family? It makes no sense. So it's just like coming together to make sure we're all free. It might not make sense for the people who are so used to the old borders and we need to respect sovereignty thing, because a lot of people are also affected by the rules that come with these borders. Like there are people who, once you get married, even your documentation becomes a problem because you've crossed an invisible line, and they need to be able to actually record who you are, what you represent, how they can track you. But for most people, that's not how they see themselves, especially in border communities. It's just like, why can't we be happy together? Yeah. Like our identities are not that removed from each other. So it really matters that they keep showing up for each other, because when both economies work and both countries are working together, there's ease for these border communities. When there's more, no one can come here, no one can go there. It becomes very difficult for these people to exist. And respectfully, I think borders are a terrifying thing for people whose communities have been harmed, especially like we've seen in the DRC and Rwanda. Yeah. There's a small margin where there's the protection side of it, and then where it becomes a curtailing of freedoms, like completely removal of freedoms for people whose identities do not subscribe to the preset boundaries. Yeah. I just wish we were more like, let them come in. Like, you can have two IDs as long as you're not a thief, man. Like,
that's what it is.
The thieves are at the top, so I don't understand why they're making it hard for people to support each other.
So this is to speak to more of your family and where you come from.
Yeah.
Uganda is going to elections next year. Museveni has asked for one more, just one more term to finish. There's a thing that he's been working on for the past 30 odd years. He just wants to finish this one thing, and then he's done. The continent and the world is expecting the youth in Uganda to take it to the streets. And they've been trying to take it to the streets over a couple of years. Are we expecting Kenyan youth to jump the border to go help?
You know, I got you. Like, that's my family. Like, I got you. If you need to someone to help you, just say the word and I'm there. But to your point about how, like, Museveni wants another term. I don't know what he's going to do that he hasn't done already. He has ensured that Ugandans have no kind of mobility. I saw a Ugandan politician who kind of looks like he's been zombified campaigning. And I was so concerned because, like, this guy could not even stand up. And I was like, how is he running? He can barely stand. Like, this is, it's like counterproductive to your own body. Like, why would you do something like this? But then I realized there's, when I speak to even my family and like some of the comics from Uganda, they have this very specific thing where a lot of people hold this like respect for the elders.
Baba, right?
They're like, if the elder is saying this, they've lived long enough, they do know what they're doing. But there's also a lot of fear with Ugandans where if Museveni leaves, what then becomes of the country? Because the country has a history of a lot of like not tribal violence, but like there was a lot of like little armies that went after each other, and that has not historically disappeared. Like, more communities have gotten access to different kinds of things, but the people who had these tactics and kind of use them against other regions are still there.
What are we gonna do, bruh? Like, as a comedian, I'm asking you, as a comic, as a fellow comic, as a fellow African, as a fellow comic with a voice, as a fellow member of the youth. It's a mess. Like, I think as soon as the voters call you something like Baba or Dada, as soon as we start calling you Dad, you're too old. Like, but what are we? And it's a thing in this continent where we're like, this one, Baba, Dada, you're too old.
The first solution, and I think that just comes from the statement that you've said, a lot of us have this respect for the elders, but also a little bit is coming from, it's like a continental parental issue. There's a friend of mine who coined the phrase national daddy issues. Like, Kenyans have national daddy issues where a lot of us define ourselves by people who can protect us and take care of us and love us. And, you know, like, just because we have this national dad, like, the national dad will figure out a way to make sure that we are not in trouble. But your national dad is a thief. Your national dad has his interests with Saudi Arabia. Your national dad does not care about you as a person. So you're kind of putting these expectations of a parent on someone who you're supposed to be in a political relationship with. Like, this person is not your friend. So as a comedian, this is fodder for so many jokes. Like, you should get off your parents' teeth, you know, like, you should go out into the world and establish your own rules and build the world that you want to see. But at the same time, there's this whole conversation around how, like, after colonialism, there's never been a moment for Africans as a people to determine their own realities. They are still attached to some people think colonialism did them well, even if they're suffering, like they would have suffered more if the colonial establishment had not happened.
Or do you still do it, or have you done it where you've looked at an African president anywhere in the continent? You look at an African president and you go, that's the guy that we need. Because I remember at some point looking at William Ruto talking about de-dollarization and going, Ruto is our guy.
Oh, no.
Ruto is the guy that we need. Until I arrived in Kenya and it turned out everyone hates Ruto. When was do you suffer from the same thing? Do you ever listen to an African president and go, that's our guy, only for them to hurt you?
I have very little faith in African presidents. Like, literally, their record is very disturbing. Like, most of them are not doing anything of importance. But I'll say historically, I think Kwame Nkrumah, like when I look at people in the past who've like set some kind of bar, I look at Kwame's work and I'm like, okay, it wasn't all 100% good, but what it stemmed from was to empower everyday people instead of just trying to build institutions from up down. It's like, how do I go to the women in the village? How do I go to the men who are fishing? Like that to him was important. And I think the reason a lot of African presidents, I have a disconnection to a lot of African presidents, a lot of them have no ideology. Like they're just running with like the most populist thing they can find. And then they're trying to like capture the KGs of the world with it. They're like, you see, the dollarization is good, but they don't have a plan around it. Like if you ask them truly, what does this mean? How do you go about it without tanking your economy? So I would not diminish the existence of like African presidents who've done a lot for their people. But our president, I think 2 presidents ago, our President Mwai Kibaki really set the precedent on what education can be. He was elected in 2002. He was in office, I think, until 2012, 2013. And he really socialized education and made it accessible to a lot of people. And the reason this administration is facing a lot of backlash is because of the education that a lot of those kids got.
The G20, does this mean anything to the youth in, say, East Africa?
Most people are happy to be involved. Yeah. Just for comparison, I think like World Cup coming to South Africa was a bigger deal. To me.
I get you, yeah.
I was a child and it meant everything. I did not know what it meant, but like it was almost like seeing yourself in another country and like just making, and like hopefully like the story about how Africa is viewed is rewritten. Yes. It was like one of those moments I was like, whatever happens, I think I want to live and work in South Africa, even if it's just for a little bit because of what it made me feel like. It was very, very impressive to see that. But then like the G20 is, it's a very political thing. Yes. It's I think geopolitics at its best. And the thing that really haunts me about G20 coming here is, are we in conversation with the same kind of leverage as a continent? Or is it kind of also another performance where we can get to include you and like, yeah, but we held it in South Africa that one time and then you should be grateful. Like, which one is it? That's the thing that, like I would be happy to be elated with the whole representation matters, which it does. But also at the same time, is it going to be as impactful to me as me watching the World Cup in 2010? As
a member of the youth, I will be at the GNU. Yes. I'm not the... Fucking hell. Edit. As a member of the youth, I will be at the G20. I will be there with the friends from Politically Aware. Are there questions that you want me to ask on behalf of us? Just in case I forget.
First of all, thank you so much for representing the youth, KG. It means a lot to our collective. My question has a lot to do with education. education is being absconded to AI. Like people are like, AI is the future, AI is the future. AI is hallucinating its own answers. And we're still giving this generative tool the future of education instead of investing in good schools and investing in the people who are supposed to benefit from education. And even Tata Mandela himself said, education, what did he say as a youth? What did he say about education? Education is...
I was very young there. I don't know. The keys to something. I don't know. Did he speak about education being the key? I don't know. I was young. When Mandela was speaking, I didn't care. I was young.
Okay. I respect this. You were young. But he did say education is the equalizer. It's the equalizer for a lot of us. So how can the equalizer also be absconded to AI when most people don't even have access to like good schools, let alone electricity and laptops to even access the technology itself? So I would like you to ask all these G20 people what they're doing about education in their countries, what kind of investment is going not just on a continental level to preserve the importance of education, but also to make sure that people are not just giving up the thing that they're supposed to do to AI when education really, really impacts the daily lives of Africans, not just on the continent, but even abroad. Like how do we make sure that is strengthened? Like to me, that's because without education, a lot of people are going to really, really struggle in the future. You can't build artificial intelligence or even co-intelligence without having the people being intelligent themselves. So, yeah, my question is...
Justine Wanda, thank you for hanging. I haven't even asked you about Bwana spokesman. Mark.
This is a public service announcement from the office of the government spokesman that you should go out and register to vote. And I know you're thinking, where have you been, Bwana spokesman? I am on leave. I have been on leave. I'm still on leave. So I don't have to be telling you this. I'm honestly just volunteering my words to you.
Did you create?
Oh my God.
You created Bwana spokesman, did you? Is that your idea?
Yes, I created Bwana spokesman.
Briefly before we shut it down, because Bwana spokesman is one of my favorite pieces of satire. Just I was ready to shut it down and send us back home, right? Like send us away. Let's go have coffee, deliciousness. But man, tell us about Bwana spokesman. I saw Bwana spokesman. I was so annoyed that I did not come up with that. I was annoyed.
Oh my God. I think you're probably one of our biggest supporters. As a Bwana spokesman, I created Bwana spokesman from the depths of my depression. I was in a place where I thought I would never be able to create comedy again. So I had this idea of a character, but I couldn't play it because I am not very good with like impersonations. So I went around asking my friends. I asked Ty, I don't remember the second person I asked, and then I asked Mina, and Mina was like immediately on board. He was like, when are we shooting? And the first time we did it, we didn't know what we were doing, but we were so committed to it. And then now we've gone on tour with it. We're hoping to come to Cape Town too.
That would be dope.
To do like a Bwana spokesman live.
I got you.
Because I think for a lot of us, it's a character that a lot of Africans, not just Kenyans, can resonate with because they know this person, they know this caricature, they know this embodiment of like political nonsense and jabs and this dismissal of citizens. Like we really just wanted him to be like a fun character, educative when he can, but at the same time, just if we can just make him like really, really fun and funny and engaging.
Bro, thank you for your creativity and thank you for your brain and thank you for what you do for African comedy. I think you're really dope. I'm a fan. And thank you for hanging out with us at Politically Aware. This is my favorite interview by far.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love. Asante sana.